up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Rants with Abby and friends. Of course, I'm Abby, and I have my two friends here. We got Guy, we got Sean in the building. We got a full house, and we're thankful that you guys are joining us tonight. But before we get into some things, please like and subscribe to the Pop Sports Network on all the social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. So before we get into some NFL talk, because I know all three of us are excited as all of our teams won this weekend. So we'll get into it. But Guy, how you doing? How's your week?
Not bad. It's a little bit chilly, but trying to stay a little bit warm.
I forget that you guys have like totally different weather over there because it's still like 85 over here. It's like cool in the morning, about like 50s, but then I don't know how to dress because it gets hot. And then, of course, I'm at work and then I leave and then it's cold again. So it's just that in between season. So, and Sean, hopefully Sean will come back, but Sean's having a good week because Seahawks won. So, Guy, let's go ahead and start with your game this week. Of course, the Miami Dolphins upsetting the Buffalo Bills. I could not believe it. But share your thoughts on the game, some of your observations. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we played a really good game. I think we punched Buffalo in the mouth, which was a surprise because that's not what we've done before. Devon Nation just showed that he's the best player in the organization. They have to keep him at all costs. Couldn't be stopped. Buffalo has had a hard time stopping the run this year, so that was just give it to Ashan. He's going to do his thing. Waddle was there making some nice catches. It was a great team effort, and you know what? They got under Josh Allen's skin. A couple early in the season, we played them pretty tough on a Thursday night. I think it was a Thursday night game. It was just Tua at the end that threw like two bad interceptions and kind of like took the momentum out of the game. It was either that or like a roughing the kicker kind of penalty, like kind of swung the balance. But I knew that if we had him again, that we could beat Buffalo, you know what I'm saying? And everybody makes a big deal about, the run that they're on. Oh, they beat us 7 times in a row or whatever. Look, we went a decade without losing to the Bills in the 70s. So that doesn't mean anything to me. I think Buffalo showed that they're overrated. That roster is just not good enough for me to win a championship. Josh Allen's great, but when they're too reliant on Josh Allen, he's prone to make mistakes and try to do too much. And when he does that, things like this could happen. Because I don't know if you remember, who did they play before Kansas City? Was it Atlanta?
I think so.
Yeah, so like they coming into the game, that's Kansas City game, they weren't that impressive. Then, they beat the Chiefs. That was their Super Bowl. Then they went back down to earth. And, whether they took us lightly or not, they looked unprepared. And I think if you're a Super Bowl contender, you can't look that bad, especially against a division rival when you have Super Bowl aspirations.
That's the thing. They looked unprepared. They looked like they thought this was going to be an easy win. And that's never how it is with these divisional games at all. And for once, I saw Josh Allen actually look frazzled out there. He looked so out of his element. And I know that they have some injuries on their team, but so does every team at this point. That is where we're at in the season. There is no more excuses. And quite frankly, their defense has looked mid all season. And that's why we came into the season thinking maybe they were a guaranteed, winner of the AFC East. The Patriots punched them in the mouth, and now Miami. And I'm hoping at the end of the season, the Jets might get a sneak a win there.
Get them.
That's what I'm saying. And it makes me so mad that we lost to them because we've always played them competitively. And that one game, it was out of whack. So just, that Miami game, I was thoroughly surprised. I'm not mad at it either. As a Josh Allen fantasy team owner, though, I was frustrated. They could get nothing going. And then by the time they did, I mean, it was already fourth quarter. Clock's winding out, game's over.
Yep.
So, yeah, they couldn't stop the run, though, at all. They was just, Achan was all over. He could not be stopped. Similar to Jonathan Taylor this week. Could not be stopped. I mean, let's talk about him for a second because easily he should be in this MVP conversation. He is having just the most insane year I have ever seen. And if you're a Jonathan Taylor fantasy owner, you started off with 50 points before the morning games even started. I think I saw someone on Reddit have like 250 for their entire week. And of course, 50 of those was from Jonathan Taylor alone. So we'll get into some of those other games. I know Sean, hopefully he'll join us here in a second. I want him to definitely talk about the Seahawks, which really wasn't a game. If you watch that one, very disappointing. But we can go ahead and move on to the Jets. Squeaked out a win, and it was all because of two very special teams plays. And crazy because that hasn't happened, I think, since like 2012 or something like that. You had a kick return, a 99-yard kick return, and then you had a punt return for a TD right after it. And that is, I'll be very honest, the only reason why the New York Jets won this game. Without that, Justin Fields was doing Justin Fields things. And, we'll preview some of the games this week, but obviously Jets play the Patriots tomorrow, huge divisional matchup on Thursday Night Football. And I can tell you with Justin Fields playing like that, it's not looking very good. And now we, of course, got news that Garrett Wilson is going to be out. So we're going to see what we have with some of the wide receivers that we have. But Shaq says Seahawks have owned the Cardinals for 9 straight games. I know. I picked the Cardinals spread last week, so I'm thoroughly embarrassed. The Browns defense is quite overrated. Honestly, that game, I felt like Myles Garrett was non-existent. They had 3 sacks, but I was expecting way more. I even came on here and I said, Myles Garrett about to eat. And I mean, partially he didn't eat because like for the first quarter, the quarterback wasn't on the field and the offense wasn't on the field. But, I've been talking about the Jets special teams a lot. I've always talked about McNamara and Nick Folk. But I'm glad to see that, Isaiah Williams, he has really come around because we got rid of Xavier Gibson for some fumbling issues. He's now with the Eagles, I believe. And then, we brought in Isaiah Williams, and he had some issues too. I think it was that Miami game that we played you. He fair caught it within the 5-yard line. And we're like, here we go again. And he has just really absolutely rebounded. He's also been utilized in the receiving game as well. So he's useful in multiple different ways in terms of the offense. So let's go ahead and, Guy, do you have a game that you were really excited about this week to talk about?
I mean,
this past weekend?
there was a game that I was excited about, but I have to kind of not rant about it, but I expected a little more from the Monday night game. I thought that was kind of
we all did, I think. That was boring.
And then you hear Troy Aikman and Joe Buck saying, "Oh yeah, this is just a great defensive game." No, the hell it's not. I mean,
they were turning the ball over several times.
Yeah, and super conservative play calling too, or Jordan Love not looking, making the right reads. Both of them. They both were 10-7 games. The Raiders-Broncos game was trash too.
Well, and even the Sunday night game was terrible.
Yeah, it got out of hand after a while. But I mean, I would say one of the games that caught my attention, maybe the Ravens are starting to come together and they're making a run. I think that the way that they won in Minnesota, I thought that it showed a lot of character. And they're with Pittsburgh losing, they're only a game out of first place. So believe it or not, they still have a chance to win that damn division.
Yes, and we have Sean back. Sean,
Oh, there we go.
We
Don't mind
saved.
me.
It's okay. We went over the Miami game really quickly, and then we went over the Jets game. But we wanted to hear from you, of course, about the Seahawks game, which you can argue wasn't much of a game. So we wanted to know your thoughts on it.
I loved it. Darnold threw the ball 12 times. That was awesome. JSN still almost at 100 yards. The defense, I mean, we look like the best defense in the league. I'm really excited to play I think game of the year is this week. We play the Rams in LA. I wish it was in Seattle just to see how good the Rams really are, like playing away from home as well. Our running backs, I mean, we haven't had much of a run game, but we ran the ball 41 times. We had success running the ball, but again, it's Arizona. And like I said last week, obviously it's a divisional game. So you never know with those how it's going to go. It could have been a close game, but I mean, we were up with like 6 minutes left in the first quarter, 28-0. There was no game after 6 minutes in. I mean, it was just a walk in the park. And it's just crazy to see Jason's numbers. He sat out almost a full game worth of quarters at this point, and he's still on pace to break Calvin's record. I mean, it's insane efficiency. But our losses, our loss to the Bucks kind of leaves a stain on me. And the Niners game was in the beginning of the season. It was a close game, but this Rams game is going to be the true test. I think we're ranked 1 and ranked 2 in DVOA for defense, so that'll be fantastic to watch.
Guy, did you have any thoughts on that game specifically, the Cardinals and Seahawks?
I just thought that their defense really showed out. Like, I know coming into the year, nobody really talked about the Seahawks defense, among the top, but they really have come into their own, and they're a force to be reckoned with, really. Arizona was kind of playing good on the offensive side of the ball, and they just got, dominated. 2 strip sacks taken to the house, like
exact same play, by the way. It was literally both 34 yards, both knocked out by Knight, both recovered by Lawrence and scored. Like it's
wild.
It's insane. Like, yeah.
See, what happened with me was I do my little post-game rant, and then I went on TikTok live, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go on for a little, and then I'm going to catch the Cardinals game here. And they were like, BTA, belt to ASS, of course. And I was like, no way. They're like, yeah, they just scored again. It's 28-0. I come in the house. The game's not even on the screen.
Yeah. And to Guy's point, like our defense, we're really young, right? Like, our corners, Reek and Witherspoon, Reek was getting tore up at the beginning of the year. He was a lot of criticism. Our defense wasn't healthy. Like Julian Love's been out. We had a healthy lineup. We lost Big Cat early on. He should be back this week. Lawrence got hurt. He's back, so now that the defense is gelling, and then he started on Imawari. Him falling to us was like JSN falling to us, right? Like he was projected to go very high in the draft, and then ended up falling to us. And I don't think he plays like Kyle Hamilton. He gets compared a lot to Kyle Hamilton because McDonald had a lot of success with Hamilton. But he's been a breath of fresh air. I mean, running around, making plays all over the field. So it's nice to see that we're this successful. And this is like a lot of these guys' first years or second years. It's a very young defense.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not surprised by the Seahawks defense either, because I follow a couple content creators on TikTok who were talking about the defense prior to the start, and I just had a feeling with everything that they were pointed out. So actually, I'm not that surprised that they're that good. You know what I mean? So, all right. Any of the other games you want to talk about from this past week before we preview upcoming games this week? No?
That Packers game was good. I don't think a lot of people liked it, but I thought it was a great game. Just a defensive battle. I mean, that's what we all thought was going to happen, right? Like no one thought. If you thought it was going to be high scoring, that's interesting. But I thought that was a cool game. It was funny because just like a side rant, but in our fantasy league, we do like a survivor pool, and TJ, but he does a show with Buff, so he was playing. The guy that we thought was going to take the survivor pool. That guy's team is loaded. Like he has Amon-Ra, JSN, bunch of good players that all put up a lot of points. So TJ had Eagles defense. He was up 6. Jacobs scored. He's playing against Jacobs. Jacobs scored, so he's only up 3. Jacobs fumbles and Eagles defense recovers. He ends up winning by like 0.05 to stay in Survivor, and he plays me next week. We have $500 like our buy-in on the line. So that's super cool, like the way that happened with that game. So we were both invested in it for no reason.
Guy, did you win fantasy this week?
No, I lost by like 2 points.
Oh my God. Who hoed you?
Garrett Wilson.
Oh, yeah. I played against Garrett Wilson this week. I got lucky.
Oh, man. And now he's sidelined for about 2 to 3 weeks. So
I
I'm
said
like,
4, right?
he
Yeah.
might go. Yeah. Like,
He might as well sit out the year, right? What do you think?
yeah, honestly, I think so. And Aaron Glenn, I don't know if you saw some exchange he had with Rich Cimini, but Rich Cimini tweeted out that Aaron Glenn or that Garrett Wilson was going to be out a couple weeks. Aaron Glenn was like, well, ask Rich Cimini because I didn't tell him that. And he knows everything. He's like, well, we're asking you. He's like, I'm telling you to ask Rich. And it's a funny little exchange. It didn't really bother me. I don't know if it's been announced yet. Again, the quarterback thing, the competitive advantage for not releasing who's the quarterback. I guarantee the Patriots could care less at this point.
Yeah, that's very odd.
I want to address some of the comments in here. First one, before we started, Destino mentioned UConn versus Arizona men's basketball next week. Of course, I'm excited for that. I'll talk about the Wildcats a little later. And then we got Brent in the house. Right now, the Suns are playing Brent's team, which is the Mavs, so that's why he's all up in here. We'll talk about Nico, Brent, I promise. We got Shaq, Cowboys versus Raiders on Monday night. Next Monday, no thanks. And then Brent also says he's in 6 leagues. Half of them, my team is ass. The other half, I'm up. And Shaq got tore up in fantasy against first place leader, who of course had Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. The guy that led our league in points this week had Taylor and Henderson. Like 96 points in our league between the two. I'm like, that's just insane.
He says G5 and J Jetta hoed me out royally. What's funny is the Jets won 2 in a row, and I'm on a 3-game win streak in fantasy. I'm back up to 500. So I'm making a little comeback here. But yeah, that is because Breece Hall, I finally have running backs, Henderson and Breece Hall. So it'll be interesting tomorrow to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, that's stat without the Breece Hall reception. Fields had like 12 pass yards.
Oh my goodness. You're not going to win many games with those. Those stats are getting ridiculous at this point. I've never seen stats so low. I think it's like 4 games where he's had less than 50 passing yards. Like, you can't make this shit up. It's actually bizarre. And then I saw another stat today with, again, the Jets have only forced 1 turnover in this amount of weeks. It's actually ridiculous. But I think going back to the Jets game really quickly, I think the Jets needed that win, especially after everything that happened Tuesday with, the Sauce Gardner trade and Quinnen Williams. I know a lot of people are upset because it hurts our draft pick and where we're standing and whatnot. But where I'm at right now in terms of the draft is I think we still need more wins. I think you stick and pick right now. I'm not really sold on any of the quarterbacks. Let's see. Star Spangled, awesome. Breece is the most overrated running back in the league. Well, he's the only running back that the New York Jets have, so they have no choice. I do think they need to extend him at this point. I do not want to see what that offense looks like without him because Fields ain't getting it.
He's young too, right?
Yeah, he's young. He's young, and and he's not like the best, but I mean, he can make plays. He just also too, he hasn't had a quarterback. He obviously sat out the year with the injury, and at this point, we don't know who our wide receiver 1 is at this point. I saw Mechie out there. Mechie was out there for a couple of plays. A.D. Mitchell, I don't think he's going to play this week simply because of the short turnaround time. I think he's still learning the playbook, but you also got to hope that your quarterback gets them the ball. So, here we go. I'm about to have the power of Cardi B by grabbing Stephon Diggs in fantasy. He's wishy-washy. And then Brent also says Breece is our wide receiver 1. That is very true. He literally, I think he was the leader in rushing and receiving last week. So let's go ahead and preview some of Week 11's matchups, and I'm hoping that we can get some of the stats across the board here. So obviously tomorrow night, Jets at the Patriots. New England is favored by 13. Over under is 43 points. Guy.
I'm gonna go Patriots.
At minus 13.
Yeah.
Sean. Well, you don't seem that confident though.
No, because this is a divisional game on a Thursday night. Like anything can happen, but
Thursdays have been very weird this year. Like very weird games. I mean, I feel like minus 13 is a lot, but it's the Jets. I feel like this is going to be reminiscent of like the Seattle game or like the Detroit Washington game. It'll probably be like a 20-point game, but like I don't even feel like 13. I feel like 13 is too little almost.
And Brent, that was my same reaction when I saw the 13. I could not believe it. I don't think we're winning this one. I can actually see us by losing like 17-20, honestly. But you never know. I've said we're going to lose against the Browns as well. So I'm hoping that me saying we're not going to win, maybe they do win. But I don't know. I still think that's a lot. I'm going to go with the Jets on this one.
The not Jets plus 13, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Just to be clear here. So the Jets will cover, but yeah.
Brent says Fields bounce back. He'll either go for 50 yards or 250. And Shaq says Jets cover, especially with how injured the Patriots are looking. I'm with you there, Shaq.
This is going to turn into the Pittsburgh Jets game earlier in the year.
Literally, watch it be a shootout.
Yeah.
All right, next game we have the game in Madrid. We got the Commanders and the Dolphins, and they got the Dolphins by 2.5. Over under is 47.5. Guy.
Yeah, I think I got the Dolphins in this one. Whatever they're doing in Washington, it's not good.
They looked like chaos the other day. They just look terrible on both sides of the ball at this point.
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah, there's Miami, even though they're 3-7, is way more talented than Washington, right? Like, I think 2.5 is, I don't see this being a field goal game either. I mean, Achane alone is worth 7 points in this spread here, I think. I don't know. This is another one of those games where, like, does it really matter either way, though? Like, neither of these teams are making the playoffs. I don't know. I got Miami, obviously, but this is going to be a low-scoring game, I think. I don't see this game being over, what is it, 47.5, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably like a 20 to 13 game or something like that, if that.
Guy, are you going to get up at – so the game's at 7:30 my time. So is that 5:30 in the morning your time?
No, it's 9:30 on the East Coast.
Oh, now I forget. I'm thinking of it wrong. Getting up at 7:30, I can tell you that much.
We got 50 in the building also. Make sure y'all like and subscribe.
Oh, yes. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. All right. Moving on. We got the Panthers at the Falcons. They have Atlanta by 3.5. Over under is 42.5. Oh, I'm taking Miami, by the way. Sorry. All right. Guy, Panthers, Falcons.
I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Sean? Guy, go ahead.
No, I'm saying Carolina, laying the egg last week against New Orleans. I don't trust them. I thought Carolina had a great opportunity to, gain some ground in the playoff picture. They squandered that, I think.
Yeah. I think that the Bryce Young project is over there. That team being 5-5 is a blessing for them. They got really lucky with Rico. But this, as TJ said, I mean, this is going to be a huge Bijan game, I think. I think that he probably goes for 200 all-purpose yards, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. I don't even think Penix is horrible too. Honestly, I don't even think this is going to be a passing game. I think this is going to be a battle of Rico versus Bijan, and just the Falcons' offense is superior and their defense is great. I mean, I know they're 3-6, but they have a good defense. It's just they've had some unfortunate games. But yeah, I have Atlanta in this game as well.
I'm taking Atlanta as well. All right, we got the Bucks at the Bills. They have Buffalo by 5.5. Over under is 48.
I got Tampa.
I got Buffalo. I think that this is gonna definitely go over 48. I think I've talked to some people and they think that James Cook is gonna have a good game because he had a pretty bad game last game. And I heard y'all talking about the Buffalo game earlier, and Josh Allen did have a bad game. He didn't have a bad fantasy game though. He ended with like 32 points, which is kind of funny because he had 5 at half. But he had that nasty fumble. I mean, it was a quarterback sneak. He ended up running like 15 yards and then gets the ball punched out. And James Cook had that fumble too. So that game did look ugly, but it was ugly because of unnecessary turnovers. And I feel like they're going to right the ship this week. It's probably going to be like a 60, 65 point game, honestly. And I think it's just going to be a shootout. It's probably going to be more reminiscent of the Ravens Buffalo game that happened earlier this year. But I do think that the Bills win this. I think the Bucks are a sinking ship right now. Their injuries are just piling up left and right. And it's, Buffalo still has a lot to play for. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game, but Buffalo takes it.
That's what's crazy is Josh Allen is my quarterback for fantasy. And I mean, it was horrible at first. And somehow I managed to, because my league's a little different. We're half PPR.
Us too.
Yeah. So I was surprised that I ended up with, I thought the last time I looked, it was like 20 for me or whatever. But it was very interesting to say the least. You know what? I'm taking Tampa as well. I'm going to go with Guy on this one. I think 5. I hate those. We talked about it last week. I hate those half-point games. You know what I mean? It's just an odd score. I'm going to go with Tampa. All right. Texans at the Titans. They have Houston by 6.5. Over under is a whopping 37.5. Sean.
37.5 feels low. I was just looking at that actually. I just feel like that's really low considering Houston. I know Tennessee sucks, right? Like, don't get me wrong, but Houston just played Jacksonville and they put up what, 60, 65 or 64, whatever it was. And that game was insane. We didn't even talk about that game. That was probably the craziest game of the week. I mean, Houston scored 26 unanswered points, 20 if you don't want to count the interception return for a touchdown, which I'm sure absolutely screwed over a ton of people in fantasy last week. But Davis Mills looked good. I own Nico in fantasy, so I wasn't happy going forward. And it looks like, why am I brain farting on their quarterback's name? Stroud. It looks like Stroud isn't going to play again this week. But he was throwing the ball. I mean, Nico had 15 targets. They were moving the ball down the field. Woody Marks looks good. It just depends on how many points Tennessee puts up because I think Houston could easily put up 28. So I do think Houston wins, but I think it goes over 37 for sure.
Guy?
Yeah, I think the Texans defense is going to make things happen. And I think that's the biggest, the strongest unit of any, of the teams playing. I think their defense makes stuff happen, maybe score another either pick six or, fumble recovery. I can see that happening.
I'm going to go with the Texans this week as well. Can you pull up that comment again about the Braves? I want to know your guys' thoughts on this one. Is it too early to say the Braves need a rebuild?
Yeah. I mean, no, not too early. I don't like. We're talking about Atlanta Braves, right? Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're actually getting really old, and a lot of their pitchers are a bit older. And Sale got hurt multiple times last year. I I'd have to go look at their entire roster. But I know they have like Olsen. I know Ronald Young, and then they have like Drake Baldwin, the catcher. He won like Rookie of the Year, right? So they have to do some young pieces. But that roster as a whole is just seemingly getting older. And I think it was Olsen last year. He got overdrafted. I don't know if you guys play fantasy baseball, but he got overdrafted, I feel like, and he was horrible to start the year. Same thing with RCA, I think it was their shortstop or whoever it was. He ended up having like a blazing second half of the year. He was horrible to start the year. And I don't know. They don't really have a young farm system either. Like there's not a lot of players on the Braves where you can go look at like if you're in dynasty baseball and be like, oh, I can roster them. Whereas you look at like teams like the Miami Marlins and stuff, their pitching staff is incredible. The Brewers, there's a lot of young teams, but
Zandy's over here confused how he got on the baseball talk. It's because a comment came up, and then he threw out some shade of could be worse. They could be the Jets. The Jets have not blown a fourth quarter lead in the last 2 games. They actually came back in the fourth quarter against Cincy, and they got the penalty they needed, drew Cleveland offsides to end the game. So you stand corrected there, sir. All right, Guy, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think maybe they're a year late with trading some of their young position players, like maybe Ozzy Albies. They could have tried to see if they had any takers for him. I know they locked him up early, before like arbitration, to kind of get like them on a cheaper scale, later in their prime years, but that team needs just a retooling. I don't think a full rebuild, but they need some new blood, maybe a couple new veterans just to switch it up. Because as constructed, yeah.
I'm just looking at their lineup right now. It's just old. Like Spencer Strider was horrible this year. I mean, Michael Harris was decent, I guess. I was looking at him. And then they have a Waldrop, that rookie that came in. He was pretty good. But, like Bryce Elder, I've seen him give up 7 to 9 earned runs, multiple games. Strider, Chris Sale.
Well, Schwellenbach is pretty good. I know he got
Schwellenbach is great. He's coming off an injury this year. Like that's a pretty big injury. I drafted him in fantasy this year. Gino will tell you all about that one. Monster trade with Gene. I traded him and Pete Alonso for Aaron Judge. But I could talk baseball for hours, but that's a very deep topic to get into.
Yeah.
Now we'll be getting into it as free agency has just started, so there'll be stuff coming up. All righty, back to NFL. We'll finish out some of the few more games here left. We have the Bears at the Vikings. They have Minnesota by 3. Over under is 48.5.
Yeah, this game I think is going to go over. I think Chicago came back and won this week, which is very un-Chicago-like. They're usually the ones blowing games, right? And then Minnesota had a pretty I don't know what his injury is, but I did see that McCarthy was questionable now. So I don't know if he just sat today or whatever it was in practice. But I wasn't expecting Minnesota to lose last week, if I'm being honest. I thought they'd beat the Ravens. Just feel like that offense looks anemic sometimes. And I don't know why, because they're very, very talented. I feel like Jordan Addison is a wide receiver 1 on a lot of teams. Jefferson's Jefferson. You have Hawk. You have 2 should be talented running backs in the backfield. I just don't feel like they ever get – I never watch a Minnesota game and I'm like, yeah, that offense looks like they're doing something. Like it always feels like they do stuff in spurts. But this is such a weird game because Chicago's 6-3. I didn't even realize that until yesterday. I'm like, okay, that division's secretly really good. But this is a home game for Minnesota after a weird game last week. I just think that the game goes over and Minnesota does cover.
Guy?
I think the Bears are going to find a way to win this one. I think there's too many question marks for the quarterback position for the Minnesota. And I think the Bears are catching them at a good time.
I'm going to go with the Bears as well. I just think they're hot. Well, they're hot right now. You know what I mean? And they're feeling it. You know what I mean? So I think they'll come in and they know that they can compete. I don't think, like I said, you just get hot at the right time. All right, I'm going to skip the Packers and Giants game because we're going to get to it at the end, but I obviously want to talk about some news with the Giants there. So let's skip ahead to the Bengals and the Steelers. Pittsburgh by 5.5. And Joe Burrow is back at practice after his little toe injury.
He
So
won't be
Pittsburgh-
back this week, though.
Yeah,
They
I
already
know.
confirmed
Yeah,
that.
back at practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh 5.5. Over under is 48.5.
I think this game goes over for sure. Just think both of it. To me, speaking of Joe Burrow, I feel like they're 3-6, and I know like Joe Burrow came out and said like, "Oh, the division's still wide open," which yeah, in theory, if they win this game, is true. But then the Ravens are surging, right? I feel like you just let Burrow sit out the rest of the year. Flacco has done more than a serviceable job, but I mean, this game is going to be. I think both quarterbacks probably throw for 350 plus in this game. You probably want to own any wide receiver that's playing in this game. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, whoever it may be, DK Metcalf. It's just the Steelers are such a weird team this year because their defense is great. Like on paper, they probably have a top 5 defense in the league. And there's just games that they look like a bottom 5 defense in the league. And then there's other games where they're just stifling teams, right? So it's just going to be two super veteran quarterbacks going at it. And like that 5.5, I would probably take the Cincy plus 5.5 because I think they're going to put up a lot of points. But I think it definitely goes over 48. But I do think Pittsburgh wins. It's going to be a close game.
Guy?
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. I don't think the Steelers. I think that spread is a little high. I think it's going to be a game-winning field goal type game, or whoever has the ball last. But the Bengals' offensive line scares me, especially with the pass rush that the Steelers could get on Joe Flacco. Maybe the Steelers' defense gets a touchdown. Not saying that they're going to stop Cincinnati, but it should be an exciting game, points wise.
Yeah, and Shaq says the Unk Bowl, the second Unk Bowl. I'm gonna take. I don't think the Bengals win, but I do think they cover the 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously taking the over as well. Macho asks, do you guys think Mike Tomlin will have his first losing season this year?
I don't. I may actually go look at the rest of their schedule, but I don't think so. Because they're 5-3 right now, right? Where is this game?
5-4.
5-4.
They are 5-4. Mm-hmm.
Let me see the rest of their schedule. Because if they beat the Bengals this week, that makes them 6-4, right?
Yep.
I mean, they play the Bears next week, then Buffalo, then Baltimore. They got so basically what they have left, they have the Browns, the Dolphins, the Bears, and the Bengals. All winnable games left on their schedule. So that's 9-8 at worst. They'll probably finish 9-8 this year, come second place in the division somehow, even though they should probably win it because I think that the Ravens are frauds too. But it'll end up being like 9-8 or 10-7 probably.
Guy, your thoughts?
I mean, on paper, they look like they could win some games, but they could also lose those games that they would theoretically be favored in. Like, I don't think there's any gimmies on their schedule except the Browns, to be honest.
No.
All righty. Let's head over to the Chargers at the Jaguars. They have the Chargers by 3. Over under is 43.5. Jaguars, obviously, tough loss with losing Travis Hunter for the season. So,
yeah, I think that. So I own Travis Hunter in fantasy. He never started for me, so I was like, that sucks. It happened on a bye week, But Parker Washington has looked awesome for them. I mean, he is electric on special teams. That kick, that punt return he had, that move, the move that he did right in the middle of the field and then cut it to the outside. And the kid looks special. It's just Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's got every single attribute and ability that you could ask for in a quarterback. But like TJ and I talk about him, it's like he's got squiggly lines like on Madden, like that when he's watching the game, like he doesn't know what routes people are running, and I don't understand. They have decent serviceable receivers. Jacoby Myers will get more integrated this week, but I don't know what's going on with that team. Like they can't close out a game. That team is just a very interesting team to say the least. And the Chargers just beat Pittsburgh by 15? That defense looks insane. I think that the Chargers definitely win, and it probably looks similar. The scoreline probably looks similar to what the game did against the Steelers as well.
Guy, do you agree?
Yeah, I think the Chargers win this game. I don't trust the Jaguars, especially if it's a close game. For whatever reason, they squander it at the end, and they could have won a few games this year, but it's tough. Trevor Lawrence had high expectations, and we're still, waiting to see. But I guess this is who he is.
Mm-hmm. All right, and I'm going to take the Chargers as well. All righty. One of the games of the week that Sean's looking forward to. We got the Seahawks at the Rams. They got the Rams by 3. Over under is 48.5. Sean.
So basically what that means, the Rams by 3, is essentially that if this game was played on a neutral site, they wouldn't know who to pick, right? Because you get 3 points for playing at home. Obviously, I think Seattle wins. We're 4-0 away this year, so we actually have an extremely good away record. We've actually been significantly better the last few years playing outside of Seattle, which is very odd considering our stadium and everything. This is just going to be an absolute battle. 1-2 in defensive DVOA. Everything to play for here. I think this probably swings the tides for both teams as far as momentum, right? Like whoever wins this game probably wins the division. I am so excited for this game. I'm almost considering calling out of work just to watch it. That's how good of a game I think it's going to be. This guy's out of his mind. I think it's going to be a field goal game one way or the other. I think both of these teams are great defensively, but I think a lot of points are going to be put up in this game. I don't know. I think it's probably going to be like a 31-28 game. Obviously, I think Seattle wins 31-28. I'm going to have to say that no matter what, but this is going to be an absolutely awesome game. And if you can watch this game, you're going to want to watch it.
Guy?
Yeah, 2 very good teams. This is what you want in a matchup. Very, very slim margins, I think. I just think right now the way that Matthew Stafford's playing, it's hard to go against that. I think the Rams edge him out in this matchup, but that I can see that game going either way, really. I just trust Stafford a little more than Darnold right now.
Yeah, honestly, too, it's funny because I actually think that Stafford is severely underrated. I think he should probably – I personally think Jonathan Taylor should be number 1 for MVP, right? But Stafford could easily be the front runner for MVP. He's having an insane season, an incredible season. As much as they're a rival, right? Like you still have to respect when a team is really good, and they are a really good team. And Stafford is doing things that he's never done in his career at his age. And there was a stat this week. So this is the first time in Stafford's career that he's 500. I mean, all of those years in Detroit getting pissed on, he's finally 500. So this game will decide if he goes back under 500 or goes over 500 for the first time in his career. So I thought that was a really cool stat as well. But I just hope it's a good game regardless. I care who wins, obviously, but this is going to be top-notch football. We're going to be seeing probably the most premier football we've seen all season in this game.
Literally, I agree with you. It's very hard for me to choose a winner here because I can literally see it going both ways. I am going to go ahead and go with the Rams on this one. Sorry, Sean.
No, it's again. This game is going to be so close. You know, picking either way. Like I said, there's a reason that the Rams are -3 because they're at home. If this game was in Seattle, Seattle would probably be -3 favorites, right? Like both of these teams are incredible. I'm just excited to see some good football. I think our defense matches up really well against them. So we just have to not make mistakes, right? And it's the same thing for them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Another NFC West matchup with the Niners heading to the Cardinals. They got the Niners by 2.5. Over under is 48.5. And MHJ will not be playing this game as he received surgery for appendicitis. So Trey McBride, here we come. Guy.
I got the Niners. You know, I think Jacoby Brissett, that little run is over. You know, the way that the Seahawks like just dominated, like kind of took whatever confidence he had. You know, I don't see them beating the Niners. The Niners, you know, as they have their issues, I think they're just a better team.
Sean?
Yeah, I am actually shocked that this line didn't move at all with the Marv news coming out. I think 2.5 is generous as is. I think San Fran is still a really good team. They're third place in that division, but they're only 2 games behind. They'll be 1 game behind if they win this week, and whoever loses the Rams Seattle game, right? They beat us earlier in the year. They could have probably beat the Rams last week. It just felt like they could never score, and they couldn't just get one stop. Like they were always in the game, but never really in the game. I think 2.5 is very, very, like you should be slamming that line. -2.5, I feel like is way too little. I think Kittle and McCaffrey are probably going to feast this game. They're probably going to go out there and prove a point, say, hey, we're still a good team, and we want everybody to know that. And I think just over 47.5 probably hits just because of San Fran alone. Like this game's going to be electric.
I love all the points you're making, but the Cardinals cover. Moving on.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're from Arizona. I was like, wait a second, I had to do some mental math there. I'm like, something's not adding up here.
All right, we got Ravens at the Browns. Baltimore by 7.5. Over under is 39.5.
I'm going to say it. The Browns win this game. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say make a bold statement and say they win this game. Their defense is extremely good. I feel like they're going to contain Lamar. Derrick Henry, I don't know what the trust lost in him is this year. Like they had that play this week. They get down to like the 1 or the 2, whatever it is, and they literally just hurry up and try to run it up the gut. And I don't know what he's done to like lose that trust of like, hey, just feed him the ball, but they're not. And I think the Browns hold them to probably 20 points and they win like 23-20. I don't know why. I just got a weird feeling. I think I'm playing against Judkins this week in fantasy or for Survivor this week. And I have a feeling Judkins is go for like 150 and 3 touchdowns too, for no reason at all. So yeah, I think this is like one of those games where like everyone thought that Carolina was going to win last week, right? And I think it's going to be the same thing this week. The Browns somehow squeak out a win just to ruin the division.
Guy?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I just see the Ravens winning. I saw most of that Browns-Jets game, and the Browns just lacked the precision and, that what was it at the end of the game where the guy got caught offside? Like,
yeah, they were just undisciplined.
Yeah.
Penalties killed them.
Yeah, and with Lamar coming back, like if you give him any more advantage, he could it could be a long day for Cleveland. I just think Baltimore
Well,
reestablished
Lamar didn't
themselves.
practice today, just as I don't know if that was cautionary, but he had knee soreness today. And he had a knee injury for weeks, right? So that's kind of concerning. He probably plays this week, yes, but like that's not something you want to see. And I always said like Lamar is a significantly more talented RG3, obviously, but like once those quarterbacks start getting the recurring knee injuries and stuff, you don't want to keep seeing them pop up on these injury reports week in and week out, right? Like that's like McCaffrey last year. Like you always were seeing him on the injury report, and then you're like, oh shit, now he's out. You know, it just doesn't feel good to see that.
I think the Browns cover. I still think Baltimore wins, though. Guy, I want to go back to Wu-Tang's comment about the Dolphins should have drafted a different guy than Murray.
Why? That Marino fell in that draft, so a lot of teams had a chance to get him. We had to pull the trigger.
That's
the
why
Jets wish they had him.
I was shocked at the end of the Jets-Browns game because they just fell right into it. And our O-line went on. I don't know if you saw the clips of them like doing all their little dancing. It was outrageous. But that's what I'm saying. I was nervous because I was like, if this doesn't work, they get the ball back and they still had plenty of time.
It's just crazy too, right? Because like as the Browns, you want them to hike that ball. Like you're just waiting for them to hike it. There should never be a reason that you're jumping off sides there. They hike that ball, you're elated. Like you're so happy about that. Like why are you antsy? That was so odd to me. So odd.
I know it was odd. It was odd for me too, but I was like, finally the Jets put a game away with, in the fourth quarter. So, all right, we got the Chiefs at the Broncos. They have the Chiefs by 4. Over under is 44.5 at the Broncos.
The Chiefs are favored. I just realized that they're favored in this game at Denver.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, Denver hasn't done anything special this year, right? I feel like Denver's played up to their competition or down to their competition all year. Like Denver's not a team that's going to go out there and spank you for no reason. Like they're just going to, whatever you do, they're like, hey, well, if you want to put up 10, we'll put up 12 and we'll win the game. It's wild to me. Kansas City's coming off a bye week, I guess. So like there's that, but Philly just came off a bye week this week and still only put up 10 points or whatever it was. I'm personally excited. I'm a RJ Harvey owner. Hallelujah. He's coming to win me fantasy this year. My Lord and Savior. I'm excited to watch him if Dobbins is out, but this game feels like a trap game for Kansas City almost. Like they're going to come in here off a bye week. They think they're going to go in there, beat Denver down. But I feel like Kansas City has to win this game, right? If they lose this game, they're probably not making the playoffs. I don't think that's a stretch to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Denver wins. That's what I'm getting at. Just think their defense they probably have the best defense in the league. And I don't know if Surtain's playing this week, so that is something. But I don't know. I'd be curious to see what you guys have to say about it.
Guy?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs win this game. Broncos, sometimes they play a little too safe. In a big game, sometimes you're going to have to take a couple chances to win a big game. They have yet to do that. You got to get Cortland Sutton involved. I know they spread the ball around, but Bo Nix at times could be erratic with his decision making, and with the coaching. I mean, they both have great coaches, but off of a bye with a week to prepare, it's hard to go against Andy Reid and Mahomes.
I'm with you right there. I'm with you, Guy, on that one. And this is going to be probably the second week in a row I benched Sutton because he got me 3 measly points last week. And then the only reason my ass was saved because the Broncos put up 16. Defense put up 16 points in fantasy. That is the only reason I won. And I have Rashee Rice back in the lineup this week. So Yeah, the Broncos. You're right, Sean, with how they played up and down. Because look at that Jets game. It's all over the place. And I mean, let me ask you guys: do you think, because they've been included in that fraud type of conversation?
What's funny though, too, go look at their losses. It's to the Colts and to the Chargers. They lost to the Colts by 1 point, and they lost to the Chargers by 3 points. But they've also beat the Raiders by 3, the Texans by 3, the Giants by 1, the Jets by 2, the Eagles by 4, and the Titans by 8, right? Like all of their games are super close. And like to my point, like it seems like they just play up or down to whoever they're playing. Like the only team this year that they've blown out is the Cowboys, 44-24. Every other game is, the Bengals 28-3, but the Bengals don't really count, right? Every other game is within 8 points. Either way, even their losses. So it's just really weird to me. That's why it's so hard to and again, this is a divisional game, right? So like you always have to factor that in is those are always tougher games. You're playing for a lot more.
That's a hard stadium to play at too.
It is. Mile High is not easy to walk into and just win. I get they're coming off a bye week, but they're still going to play at Denver, right? Like Denver is not an easy team to beat, and they're 5-0 at home this year. I just see that, so they're actually undefeated at home as well. And Kansas City's 1-3 away. So this is going to be another really good game. I actually didn't realize that this game was on this week. There's 2 really solid games on this week that you want to watch.
Johnny boy, don't start with the Fields comments, and I'm a Fields truther.
Well, Macho, I see. Who do you guys think the Super Bowl favorites are this year? Because I think there's a few teams that are like, I don't think there's a clear number 1 team. I think there's a couple really good teams. But this year's been definitely weird.
Mm-hmm.
So what do y'all think about that?
I think it was wide open.
I know. I got to think about this.
It's almost like a week-to-week basis of who's, these things could change over the next few weeks, as people jockey for position. I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing this year. Like if in the NFC, if you got to go through Philly, that might mean something, as opposed to playing in Los Angeles where it's indoors. It would definitely favor the Rams. So to me, it's between the Rams and the Eagles, with the Seahawks like a notch below. And that's just because of the championship pedigree that the other 2 teams have.
I agree. Those are my 3 teams in the NFC as well. And I do have Seattle a bit lower. But you got to realize, I think out of those 3 teams, I mean, obviously, the Eagles have the most recent win, right? But like they're all championship pedigree teams. They've all been to the Super Bowl in the last 10 to 15 years. Like they've all had wins, right? So those definitely are the best 3 in the NFC. But like when I look at the AFC, yeah, New England's 8-2, but they're a young team. Like, yeah, the games are probably going to go through Foxborough, right? But that's a lot of pressure for a lot of young guys that don't have that experience. Now, if this is the Patriots from 10 years ago, yeah, we're having a different combo. But this, like, if you're rolling out Drake May and Travion as your starting running back and quarterback, no, they don't have any NFL playoff experience. The AFC North, I think that the whole division sucks, if I'm being honest. There's no really good team. Indy's 8-2. I think that's the one team where I'm like, I could get behind it just because Jonathan Taylor can single-handedly beat a team by himself. And then, the West, you got 3 really good teams, but who comes out of that? That's a juggernaut in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on the NFC. The AFC has been wide open, I think, very early on, to be really honest. And no one really is outstanding to me at all. There's teams like, yes, I'd probably be rooting for like maybe a team like Indy or something like that. But even then, I can see them definitely getting beat on any given Sunday, essentially.
Well, if LA was healthy, right? Like, I think LA would be the favorite if they didn't. Like, Omarion will come back, right? But like, they lost Joe Walt. They have a lot of injuries. But if they were healthy, they might be the most talented team, top to bottom, like the way that they're currently playing, right? But it's AFC's weird, wide open. That's why the Colts made moves at the deadline, right? Like,
yeah. I know. Macho, what are you talking about? I know he asked the Super Bowl favorite, but I'm surprised he didn't say the Jets are going to go on a Super Bowl run this year and win out the rest of the season. We got some crazy fans.
I tuned into the Super Jets podcast the other day with all y'all on there. I'm like, Jesus, literally the Super Jets over here. The Four Musketeers.
Literally. All right, we got 2 more games, and then we're going to talk about some other NFL news. So we got the Sunday night Lions at the Eagles, Philly by 2.5.
Yep, it's another one of those games that Philly's favorited because it's at Philly, right? Like it's just going to be a really close game. I just see the way Philly just looked in against Green Bay, right? I think Detroit has a decent defense, but their offense is probably 10 times better than Green Bay. So if they're only going to be able to put up 10 to 20 points, they seem to not be able to get a passing attack going at all. A.J. Brown seems checked out. I mean, he literally said today, drop him in fantasy if you own him. That's insane. He's a star receiver, right? Like you're a stud. We can admit he's great. I think Devontae's the number 1 receiver on that team now, and I always thought he was a bit more talented. Obviously, he's a Heisman winner, right? But like to go out and say that when like they paid you big money and like you're their guy, Detroit, I just feel like they're going to come out there and do whatever they want offensively. Dan took over the play calling, and I mean, did you guys watch that Detroit game or see any of the highlights? Like they had J-Mo running slants. I'm like, Jesus Christ, why couldn't we have done this weeks ago? Like the guy's one of the fastest players in the NFL, right? Like get him in open space. You're just sending him on go routes for the first 7 weeks of the year. Give him some sort of a Mon-Ra route running tree. He can do it. I think if he's still play calling, that Detroit probably might even win this game by like 14 points.
That's a big one, Guy.
I mean, this has the makings where it could be a great game, but it could also be a chess match. I think for the Eagles to be successful, they're going to have to, throw the football. They're a little too conservative for my liking. They really don't, attack the way that they should, and maybe that's a chemistry thing. I don't know how that relationship is behind closed doors, especially with A.J. Brown saying what he's saying. Now, I mean, you're 7-2. You got the number 1 seed right now in the NFC. Is it just him talking shit, or is it something to be concerned with? I think the Eagles just find a way to win this game. I like both teams. But I think the Eagles just find a way that they might execute a little bit better in tight games.
It's really hard for me to go against the Eagles at home, to be honest. So I'm going to Eagles here too. All right. Now we got primetime television with the Cowboys at the Raiders. Oh, this is going to be an epic matchup. You got Dallas by 3.5. Over under is 50.5.
If Dallas doesn't put up 50 by themselves in this game, they just need to call it quits. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. I don't know. Can we flex like the Rams Seahawks game into here or the Chiefs Broncos game into this slot? Because Jesus, like this is going to be like the Browns Jets game last week. Who's watching this game? Cowboys fans, I guess, but
it's going to be like the Miami Jets game on Monday night when both are fighting for their first win.
I don't even have words. I'm flabbergasted right now. I didn't even realize this was the Monday game. Wow.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, you expect the Cowboys to win, but crazier things have happened where like the Raiders could just play the game of their lives and beat the Cowboys, but I don't see that happening.
This game's getting flexed to Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
I just good Lord.
The Raiders played on Thursday night last week, right?
Yeah.
They played
weeks on prime time television.
Yeah, you know why they got him is because of Genty, probably. I mean, you get Genty, Bowers, Pete Carroll, and Geno Smith, and all of a sudden you get 14 primetime games out of the year. I mean, I don't even think did anyone expect the Raiders to be good this year? Because I didn't. I don't know if
No.
anyone actually did. So why are they having so many primetime games? I'm missing something here.
Maybe because they're still popular, I guess, fan base.
They
But
don't have any more after this game. They're 4:00 games and then a 1:00 game the rest of the year, but
oh, thank God.
that is just strange.
I think it's all safe to say we're going Cowboys on this one.
Yeah, by 75.
All right. Now we're going to go back to a game. And we also have news regarding this one team. So you got the Packers at the Giants. You have Green Bay by 7. And then, of course, we'll get into some Giants news after this. So, Guy.
Yeah, I'm going Packers in this game. I think it's a good bounce back. Dart's not playing. So I know Jameis Winston, I think, is the starter for this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's mistake prone. You know, the Packers defense looked pretty good this past week. So if he's not making the right reads, he can throw I could see him throwing 3 picks in this game.
Sean?
Yeah, I was just looking at the injury report. Sorry, Micah is questionable, but I don't think that matters. I think Green Bay just had a really tough loss. I don't think they let the Giants put up more than 7 points this game just because that defense is so good. And they said that, to expect these amount of points, we just need to put points on the board. They definitely win this game. The Giants just have way too many injuries, and Green Bay just came off a really terrible loss too. So,
yeah, I'm going with Green Bay on this one. So obviously, news broke. Was it yesterday?
Yeah,
I believe.
What's today? Wednesday?
Yeah, my days are thrown
Tuesday.
off because of holiday.
Tuesday is when the noise broke. The noise broke.
All right, you got, of course, Brian Daboll is out as head coach of the New York Giants. Sean, immediate thoughts.
This wasn't a shock, right? Like they came out and said he was going to be fired weeks ago. They just didn't pull the trigger on it. So it was just a matter of if not, or when, not if rather. It's not a shocker. Anybody that you talk to that's a Giants fan kind of says they should have gave him a shot. I mean, he's been horrible as the Giants coach, right? He's like 20, 40 and 1 or something like that. Like it's been terrible. But to be fair, those Giants teams have been terrible too. They had a ton of talent this year. You had Scat, Neighbors, both go out with terrible injuries. It's two really young studs. It's just they could never get anything together under him. And I feel like when you lose that locker room, no matter how many injuries you have or whatever it is, you're not getting it back. It's time to move on. It's time to reset. It just doesn't surprise me based off of the news I've heard for the last few weeks out of that camp.
Guy?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised that he got fired. Maybe the timing wasn't the best. Why not just ride it out to the end? I don't know if they're serious about keeping was it Kafka now that the interim coach. I don't know if they're trying to see what they have with him, but you make the move now for what? I think the season is lost anyway. Just see what you got with who you have. Like Dart was really like the last injury that kind of, I guess, forced that decision. They just want to clean slate it. But I mean, his record over the last couple of years wasn't impressive. Usually the Giants were pretty stable at head coach historically until the last like 10 years where they've gone through a bunch of guys. I don't think that, and if you look at their recent hires, I think they've tried to get like this offensive quarterback guru kind of coach, and it hasn't really worked. They haven't really got that guy. They thought that Daboll could turn Daniel Jones into like Josh Allen 2.0, but that didn't work. Dart looked like he had potential, but the future I think is bright with the talent that they have. They're going to try to see if some new philosophy could bring out the next level in these three guys.
Yeah, Daboll just reeked of like desperation at this point. I think he thought Dart was going to save his ass, and it didn't. I'm surprised though that no one is surprised by this, but I feel like they need to clean house a little. I don't know why their defensive coordinator is not out. Yeah, like again, it starts top to bottom. I feel like they just got to clean house at this point, and I'm surprised. And I've saw a bunch of my coworkers, two of them, they're Giants fans, and they feel the exact same way that I do. And the season is lost, and Dart was that last factor, and he's out. It kind of just, I guess, the timing made sense as well. So Johnny Boy asked, are the Giants the laughing stock of New York? Have they replaced the Jets as the laughing stock?
Absolutely not.
No, they have so much more talent. That too. Like, I understand the sentiment there, but like, here's the thing. Jackson Dart they need to sit him the rest of the year. He's had 4 concussions this year already, or been checked for 4 concussions. That's not ever anything you want to see. And the problem is they're 2-8, and Jackson Dart is playing like he knows he's the reason that they're going to win any games, right? Like, he's running, but he's played like that through college too. He just runs people over. Scatterboo does the same thing. It feels like they have the same thing as a quarterback and a running back almost. They just run really aggressive. You just need to bench him, reset. You're not getting any of your superstars back till next year. You're 2-8. Let it go. Get a good draft pick. Build your O-line. Draft for defense. But they're a very talented team. Like, that division is really good, but that division is not very good. Sorry. But they could be good within that division if you just get a fresh reset. You hire from top to bottom, like you said. Yeah, they have a. You guys can go ahead. I'm not even going to get into this. I just said half of their players are injured. All of their good studs, young studs, are hurt. Like, yeah, they're going to have bad record. You lost Malik in week 3 or week 4, whatever it was. Top 5 receiver in the league. So, yeah.
He's just busting your balls. Speaking of firings, let's move on to NBA. Nico Harrison out as GM of the Mavs. And in case you have probably seen my eyes wandering over here, I'm currently watching the Mavs play the Suns. That's why I'm over here. It's currently 110-101 Suns with about 5 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that Luka trade sealed the deal with that. So I don't think any of us were surprised here. Brent was on earlier mentioning it. Fans were chanting it at games. It was not going anywhere. Fan base was unhappy. Guy, any immediate thoughts?
Yeah, on the face, like when you first heard the news they traded Luka Doncic, it caught everybody off guard. A guy that's in his prime, you're trading for Anthony Davis, essentially. That's not a good look. It's not a good optic, right? Especially Luka taking the torch from Dirk Nowitzki, leading them. Theoretically, Luka was supposed to be that next franchise guy for 15 years plus, and you punted on that for, I guess, short term, like, AD and Kyrie together with this and that. Those guys are so injury prone. I don't know why you would invest so much into Anthony Davis and Kyrie as a nucleus. Going into that, though, from what I heard, they lauded Nico's like basketball acumen. And I get it. He's made some good deals before, but he was part of the decision making that let Jalen Brunson go. That was another bad move, if you want to really look at the past. But yeah, the writing was on the wall. You trade your franchise guy. That's you already. made yourself public enemy number one with the fan base, and the whole town or city just, went against him. He can't even, he couldn't even show his face in the arena, right? And rightfully so. But yeah, I mean, he'll probably find another job somewhere, but he shouldn't be making decisions.
I mean, did you hear he was reportedly rushing AD to hurry up and get back from his injury too?
Yeah, that's not good. And then looking at how Luka really like got into shape this year with the chip on his shoulder, this is the best thing that could have happened for Luka Doncic, actually, like all this motivation, not that he needed it, but now he's in Los Angeles and he's going to be vaulted even higher. But Nico,
I would like to point out they're getting their asses clapped right now by my Thunder. They're down 32 at halftime.
Oh, the Lakers?
70-38 at halftime.
Woo.
It is a beatdown.
That defense is real.
Mm-hmm. Sean, any thoughts on the firing?
That was always going to happen, right? I think that Luka is not just a franchise player; he's the franchise player, right? Like he's going to be the next face of the league, most likely. It didn't make sense to me when it happened, and it will never make sense to me why they did it, no matter what anybody says. You trade probably a top 5 player in the NBA for a 30-year-old AD, or 29 he was at the time, and I guess you get the number 1 pick. Cool, like they rigged the lottery for you, but and now they're talking about trading AD and Kyrie to recover assets, right? And you got the president sitting there and apologizing to fans at the stadium that are harping them. It's just embarrassing. And I think it's more embarrassing how much Nico doubled down on it. Like, I know you can't just like say, oops, I messed up. Like, it's just really disappointing because they were almost a finals ready team, top to bottom. Like, they were maybe one player away from really being there. And they just set themselves back probably 5 to 7 years with how competitive the West is. Like, the top 3 teams in the West are going to be the top 3 teams in the West for a while. They're all young teams, top 4 teams, I guess. I'll include the Lakers in it because they are good and they are young. But I think that Houston, San Antonio, and OKC are just set up for success for years. So now you're going to be maybe a play-in team at best for 8-9 years. It's really pathetic that the way that it went down and like the doubling down. And like you said, like they're trying to rush him back. And like the Mavs trainers are saying he's not playing until he is 100%. Now, granted, AD's on record saying he wants to come back and play too. You're seeing this team just get slobber knocked night in and night out. They're on a massive losing streak. They look horrible, but it's tough to see how good that Mavs organization was run and how good they were for how many years to what they are now. It is day and night.
Yeah, I just saw the comment in here. Macho Brunson is currently on crutches at the moment. I just saw an update seen leaving MSG on crutches and in a boot. Not good news for them, who are on a roll as well. Di, how you feeling about your Spurs over there?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, we got Fox back a couple of days ago. I think as the year goes on, we're going to build that chemistry and we're going to get better as the year goes. As long as nobody gets hurt, I think we're right where we should be in the standings.
Mm-hmm. Sean, how you feeling about OKC? Well, obviously you're feeling great right now.
Yeah, I mean we're about to be 12-1. Granted, we don't blow this lead, which I don't think we will. We're on pace for 75 wins. And we're doing all this without J-Dub. So our second best player arguably hasn't played this season, and we're going to be 12-1. And we've also missed 3 games with Chet, Caruso. iHeart put up 35 and 19 the other night. I mean, that's one of our random pickups that we got from the Knicks, right? Didn't we get iHeart from the Knicks? I mean, well, we signed him because they didn't want to re-sign him. So I'm over the moon. I mean, AJ Mitchell looks like he could be another young superstar, and it just seems like we find ways to develop these young players no matter where we get them in the draft. And I'm just very happy with how we look for the future, and we have a really good chance to go back-to-back this year. So, yeah.
Well, I'm happy with the Suns right now on a 5-game win streak, and they're giving me a heart attack right now, only up by 5 with just over 2 minutes. Grayson Allen, what a game the other day, scoring 43 points, and I think 10 of them were 3-pointers. So couldn't believe it. I'm hoping they finish this one out.
He seems to do that every year, though, right, Grayson? He always has like these random crazy games.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then Jalen Green finally made his debut as a Sun, and he did fabulous that game as well. Happy we beat the Clippers twice, and Bradley Beal, another injury, and he's
out for the year. Out for the year. Hip. What is it? He broke his hip.
Yeah, something with his hip.
Probably from sitting on the bench too much. I mean, Jesus.
I'm happy that, he robbed someone else other than the Suns because, and I talked with a couple of fans before he got traded. I talked with a couple of fans. They're like, he's just going to be injury prone for you. And that's exactly what happened. So I was not sad to see him go to the Clippers. So Johnny Boy, I keep thinking Abby is side-eyeing someone serious. Like, no, I'm watching the Suns game. They're driving me nuts. All right. Sean, hopefully you have a rant today. I'm hoping.
I do.
Okay. You had me nervous there with the pause for a second. Yeah, Suns suck on that 5-game win streak. Yeah, this is why I hate LA fans. See, they're always up in my face. Dodgers fan, he probably hates the Diamondbacks too.
Just superior to everybody.
I know. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, my rant today is I just think that it's ridiculous how quarterback heavy the MVP is for NFL. I was talking to some people about it, and it is just crazy to me that Jonathan Taylor is 4th in MVP voting. He's got 17 touchdowns. He's literally single-handedly carrying an 8-2 Colts team that wouldn't be 8-2 without him. I understand the importance of quarterbacks, right? But he's clearly the MVP of the league. JSN is another one. He could very clearly be MVP of the league, and it's happened to other players as well. Obviously, when Jamar Chase wins the Triple Crown, or, Cooper Kupp has that crazy year. I know these offensive players get snubbed, but MVP is MVP for a reason. And when your teams are performing at a peak level because of said player, yes, Stafford's doing what he's doing, but at the end of the day, he's got weapons around him, right? That team is great. And I don't even know who's number 1 in MVP voting actually currently. I don't even know who it is. I'd have to look, but I know Stafford's 2. Let me even look.
It's in the comments here.
I'd love to Josh Allen. Is he number 1? No, that's old.
I was that has to be old.
6 days ago. It's Drake May. That's interesting.
He's having a good season though.
Drake May. He's having a great season, but again, what Jonathan Taylor is doing is unprecedented, right? What JSN doing is unprecedented. I get the Seattle defense is really good, but JSN is literally sitting games and he's on pace to break Calvin's record, right? He's sitting out 3rd and 4th quarters because we're up so much. The reason Calvin had that record is because they were down by 40 and just chucking the ball. Jonathan Taylor is literally bouncing off of the line and taking the ball 83 yards to the house. It's just really frustrating, and it'd be nice to see other players get respect for having insane years. Obviously the year isn't over yet and the awards aren't done yet, but it's the fact that Jonathan Taylor is not like far and away number one in MVP voting because he's a running back is just absurd and ludicrous to me.
How do you feel about Guy? I want to ask, how do you feel about Drake May?
I mean, I think he's definitely taken great strides in his development. You know, I think he has good coaching, and he plays within his strengths. You know, he doesn't really go outside of what his abilities are. He plays smart. So I think if you do that and you limit turnovers, you're going to be successful. But to Sean's point, I think Taylor does more for the Colts. He makes more of a difference, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what he's doing this year is special, quite honestly. And it's sad that the MVP is a glorified quarterback award. It should be to the best player or the most valuable player to their team, regardless of position. You know, even a couple years ago when Christian McCaffrey could have easily won the MVP. Saquon last year. It just sucks, you know, because now it's like we're trying to force someone to be an MVP because they're a quarterback. Let's put the guy with the best record, their quarterback, make them the MVP and call it a day. Like sometimes that's what they do, but I think if Taylor keeps going at this clip, this can be hard to ignore, especially with the lack, I think, of guys, other candidates from the quarterback position. But if it's not Taylor, I think Stafford has it.
I'm looking right now too, and it's crazy because I think that the Rams had their bye week already. Yeah, the Rams already had their bye week. The Patriots haven't yet. Stafford has 2,400 pass yards, 25 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions with the bye week. Drake May has 25, 55, 19, and 5 without a bye week. So he's played an extra game. So it doesn't even make sense how Drake May's favorited over Stafford at this point either.
Right.
So yeah, just the MVP award really just pisses me off, honestly, because I don't even feel like it goes to the most valuable player 80% of the time. So
did you agree with Josh Allen last year?
yes, I did, but
Okay.
I thought that was really close. But Josh Allen just had an insane year.
Guy, did you agree with Josh Allen last year as well?
I mean, it could have been went either way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was unanimous, but I'm not mad at it. Could have been
Drake May does
Lamar.
have receivers, by the way.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs isn't not a receiver. Like it's the same thing. I mean, I know Puka missed games too this year, right? Multiple games.
Yep.
So like Puka hasn't even been playing in multiple games, and he's still doing that. And I know that the Patriots try to like hammer home rushing with Ramadre, who's horrible, honestly, and Travion should be running in that backfield. But yeah, the Patriots definitely have weapons as well.
And start over here with the Mark Sanchez slander, which will not be accepted here. All
That's
right.
the greatest play ever. The buff fumble is just iconic.
It is.
I know. Well, he's out at Fox and he's been replaced by Drew Brees. So that'll be interesting. I mean, we all saw that coming. I mean, I love Mark Sanchez eating the hot dog on the sideline.
Oh.
Diggs versus Puka and Devontae, it's not close.
It is close though, and on top of that, like I said, Puka's missed games, so it's also that. And Booty's been great. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know all the receivers because I don't actually like the Patriots, and I typically don't watch their games. But
We all can agree on that.
they have Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry's a great tight end. Matt Collins, serviceable. Demario Douglas, serviceable. I'm just looking now. They do have players over there. Like they have serviceable players. And I get that the Rams just have a better team. But if you're just talking numbers, Matt Stafford on a bye week still blows out Drake May's numbers.
Stop with. We're gonna ban you from the chat with the Mark Sanchez slander.
That's good.
All right, Guy.
I don't have a rant per se, but I did want to salute and raise awareness. One of the best basketball people just passed away a couple of days ago, Lenny Wilkins. Um, this guy is, well, in his career, a top 50, then top 75. Whenever they did that team, um, all-time team for the NBA. So as a player, he was a Hall of Famer. As a coach, he was a Hall of Famer. And with the Dream Team, part of that staff, he was a Hall of Famer. So he's a 3-time Hall of Famer. He brought the Sonics their only championship in '79. Um, you know, it the way the classiness, he for a while he had the most wins for an NBA coach until I think Donnie Nelson broke it and then Pop broke it. But for decades he was classy and he had his teams play the right way. Even as a player, he was a 9-time All-Star, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So very rarely do you see success on the court and on the bench, and he exemplified both of that to the highest degree. So I'm paying my respects to the great Lenny Wilkins, and rest in peace. My condolences to you and the family.
And in terms of paying respects as well, happy belated Veterans Day to all those who have served. We appreciate your service to this country. Man, Guy, I have to follow. You ended on a somber note, and now I have to go and talk about my Arizona Wildcats for a second. Acting like I'm not hyped and overjoyed. Johnny Boy, real quick, I have a rant. Why they do Michael Jackson like that? That guy playing him look like straight Timu Michael Jackson. I have not seen that yet, so I'm gonna have to check it out. Suns look like they're gonna pull it out here with 24 seconds left. They're up by currently 7 points. So shout out to the Suns on a 6-game winning streak. I don't think Brent's on anymore, but sorry, Brent. Sorry, not sorry. I do want to talk about the Arizona Wildcats for a second because their football team, again, 4-8 last year, are finally bowl eligible this year. And quite frankly, they should have 2 more wins under their belts, but they had some tough losses. But very happy for them. I also want to talk about Arizona Wildcats basketball. They have UConn next week. Star, no Mark Sanchez slander. What did I tell you? Ban him from the chats.
Oh, man.
I do want to talk about U of A basketball for a second. Just playing great. They got a tough matchup with UCLA over at Intuit Dome this Friday. And then you got UConn coming up. I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far. The one thing I want to talk about is in terms of, why am I blanking on his name? The little brawny we got on the team. Bryce. There we go. So it came out today that Bryce may potentially redshirt this season. And the comments are kind of back and forth. And I kind of just wanted to share my thoughts on it really quickly while I had a chance. This team is unfortunately stacked. They got returning seniors and they got a couple people back from injury last year. And this team also has 2 top 5 recruits in, Koa Pete and Burries as well. And so unfortunately, I'm not saying there's not a place for him in this roster because there definitely is, but he's up against some tough competition. And it might be best right now for him to sit behind. I'm not saying he can't be utilized. Unfortunately, the roster is just stacked the way that it is. This is one of the best rosters I've seen for Arizona basketball in a while. Also the biggest, I might add, in terms of height and whatnot. So oh my God, Johnny Boy, as I'm going on this whole sports thing, you have to talk about Arizona has sports teams. Yes, we do. We're loud and proud and we're very strong. So that's all I had to say about Arizona basketball. Just really happy with how they played so far. Again, toughest schedule in the country. So we'll see what happens with UCLA coming up this Friday. Again, very happy with the football team. And, I've been on a roll. All my teams have been winning. So
feels good, right?
Yeah. It feels like it's coming to an end tomorrow. And I hate it because, damn, I only get 3 days to actually enjoy a victory Sunday. You know what I mean? I usually have a full week. Now I have 3 days before we got to turn it around. Macho says Arizona looks good in college basketball and football. I'm not going to lie. The pro teams, though. Hey, the Suns, they're surprising me a little as well with what the roster they got. I mean, I've been hard on the Suns talking about I had zero expectations for them this year, but they're actually surprising me a little. So kind of a breath of fresh air there. Diamondbacks, I think it was mentioned in the chat, another type of rebuild I can foresee coming as well. A lot of trade rumors surrounding even Ketel Marte.
But they were smart about it, though. They traded a lot of their talent at the deadline this year and got value back. Like, at least they didn't just say, let all these players go. I mean, that at least they're doing something right when it comes to that.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't mad at that. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to see how, again, it's still a while till baseball starts. So I'm just going to see how it like shakes out. You know what I mean? But right now, obviously my focus is the Jets, U of A, and then we got the Suns on. It's going to be a long season for the Suns, though. So just because they're starting off hot right now, they're going to get in the slump like they always do.
The Arizona Jets. Yep.
Thoughts on Aaron Glenn versus the New York media? Your thoughts on it? I can actually touch on this first. I can see why Aaron Glenn rubs people the wrong way. And honestly, too, he hasn't like translated into wins. I said it wasn't going to go over well if he wasn't winning games. You know, he's always the Rich Samini thing this week didn't really bother me simply because, you know, apparently from what Aaron Glenn said, obviously Rich Samini didn't get the news about Garrett Wilson from Aaron Glenn. And Aaron Glenn, in my opinion, has been very open in terms of the injury report every single week. And I'm sure the beat reporters, again, they probably don't like his attitude. Again, I've talked a little bit about the quarterback and, you know, what did we call it, Macho? The competitive advantage and not releasing the quarterback and whatnot. But, you know, he keeps a lot of things in-house. And I appreciate that because that's not something we had last year. So, again, I get why it rubs people the wrong way, but he's been that way since day one. He wasn't about to switch up now just because the media decided to poke him. At least Starr has one good thing to say. He's a good coach, doesn't need to apologize to the media. Macho, I feel like I might have twisted my ankle, but I didn't ask Rich yet, so I don't know. Guy, Sean, do you have any thoughts really quickly? I know we talked about it a little, but Aaron Glenn and the media. I'm
not super educated on what goes on over there, if I'm being honest. I don't keep up with all of that, like head coach stuff. I like see news articles and I maybe invest myself a little bit. I did see the Garrett Wilson stuff, and it just seems like he's kind of fed up of being questioned. I mean, and I don't blame him. I mean, he gets hammered. I feel like every time I see something with him, he's getting shit on. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, and like you said, I do everything I do see about like his injuries and everything. He seems to be very upfront about him. He doesn't. A lot of coaches will hide stuff, right? Like, and they'll drag it out. Like San Fran, they're notorious for just dragging out injuries, right? You don't ever see that coming out of over there. But I'm not extremely educated to the point where I can talk about it. It just seems like he's a guy that's fed up with people trashing on him for no reason.
Well, and at some point, it's like, what do you expect him to say when it's sometimes the same shit every week? You know, and I think he's done somewhat of a decent job of at least trying to protect Justin Fields a little and his players as well. So, again, I appreciate him keeping a lot of things in-house because there was a lot of drama last year with Aaron Rodgers. And I've said it here before, you know, I wanted Aaron Rodgers back, but I can honestly say, too, I don't miss, you know, something new with Aaron Rodgers every single week. It's kind of been a breath of fresh air not to see any drama. Guy, I mean, you're a little more in tune with it simply because you're a fan of a team in the AFC East. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, and I also live in the area, so you see it in the news. But you know, the New York media is going to be like that. They have the most beat reporters for a reason. Everybody's trying to see who could get under the coach's skin just for a soundbite or, just for clickbait. Like, I think Aaron Glenn shouldn't worry about the media, what they think. Just do your thing, do your job. The media is always going to be there, and they're always going to try to, make issues out of non-issues. Happens all the time. New York is notorious for making small things and blowing them out of proportion. So, I didn't have high expectations for the Jets. Maybe some of the beat reporters did. So that's why they're, kind of trying to hammer the new guy that's there. And maybe it's a rite of passage. Who knows? Maybe they'll let up on him next year. But right now they're kind of like, giving him shit, see what he's made of. And if he earns their respect, they might ease up a little bit. But that's just how it is out here.
Yeah.
But it's also not his fault either, right? Like the Jets are going to suck for quite a few years. Like, let's just be realistic. They did throw in the towel and essentially said, "Hey, we're tanking, and we're trading all of our. We're going to keep Garrett and we're going to keep Brees, right? Like that's kind of what they said. You don't have a quarterback. You're really not going to get a good quarterback for probably another year, right? Like I don't think you guys are going to be bad enough to get the number 1 pick this year because you're still trying to win games. It seems like for whatever reason." And I think the only like serviceable quarterback that's going to come out this year is probably Mendoza, but he's going number 1 overall. So if you don't have the first overall pick, you're not grabbing him. So you're probably you're a fan of the team, but realistically, what do you think? You're 4 years away from being competitive again. 3 years?
Yeah, I said it last episode. Yeah, I still think we're like 4 years away. I think that's a okay timeline, and I'm fine with that timeline as well. It's funny. It's AI predicted. I remember one time I looked that the Jets would win the Super Bowl in 2032. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like
7 years.
Yeah, that could very much be realistic at this point. And Sean, you were on when I've had a couple of videos. I released a video, I think, earlier this week about how I feel in terms of the draft. The Jets have enough draft capital right now to kind of do whatever they want. Of course, we've heard some of the rumors surrounding like Joe Burrow and things like that. I don't necessarily think they're not really sold on a quarterback. I don't think they have to immediately get one this year. And I'm not really sold on any of them either. I'm leaning more towards Mendoza. And let me tell you, that Indiana game this weekend was incredible. He led a game-winning touchdown drive, and that receiver in the end zone.
Literally Parker Johnson's catch and that catch for like the exact same, or Parker Washington, sorry. I said Parker Johnson. I was thinking Ty Washington. But like it was the same catch. And they happened one college, one in NFL. And I'm like, that team's got grit. They've grinded out some wins. They beat Oregon. That was a big win for them. That kid's got the tangibles. It's just, I don't see this quarterback class as a strong class. And it's good to see like other people are starting to like say, hey, it's okay not to have the number 1 pick this year, or feel like you have to get a quarterback number 1 overall. Because you guys have a ton of capital, right? Like you can
exactly. We can do whatever we want. We're gonna have to see how things shake out essentially. And it's funny, I heard Mendoza talk for the first time this weekend. Guy, are you laughing because of how he talks? He talks like it's not like very much of a leader. And I've talked about it before on here. You have to think about how harsh the New York media is. And I imagine this kid standing up there in front of the New York Jets media, and I don't necessarily know how he would be. Guy, do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it could be either way, like he could be one of those guys like an Eli Manning who wasn't articulate like other quarterbacks, but he had the right personality to not let the media bother him though, So, if you could be whatever, however you answer the questions, as long as you're authentic and you get wins, I think that's all they really care about. all the other stuff is like if he comes in and he looks like shit, like they're gonna be all over him. But
it's just, we've seen teams put it together with a quarterback that's drafted later on in the first round or even in one of the later rounds. And honestly, what has having like a top pick and picking a top QB really done for the Jets?
Let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw a rookie quarterback come in and win? And if anyone says Mahomes sat for a year, right? Like he didn't even play. So like I feel like the expectations for these rookies nowadays is so high. Like they have to come in and be a franchise quarterback, right? Look at someone like Trevor Lawrence. Championship pedigree, was a winner, right? He's in the NFL and he's like above average. Not even above, I'd say he's average to slightly above average. But you're not seeing these rookies come in and take teams to 10 or 15 win teams. I mean, Bo Nix, maybe, right? But that defense is incredible, and it's not because of Bo Nix, right? But you can't pick a single team where that's like, oh, that rookie quarterback took them into the Jaden Daniels, yes, but that team was already decent, right? Like he just elevated them slightly, but he still didn't get anywhere further, right? Like you're not making it to like the championship game or the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. Usually it takes 3 or 4 years to develop those guys, or 2 or 3 years at the very least. Not everyone's coming in looking like Mahomes, and I feel like everybody expects that from these young guys. And that's a lot of pressure, especially as like a 21, 22-year-old, and even more so now with the NIL money because they get paid so much before they get in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. And I don't want to run into a situation in terms of the Jets where, you're maybe having somebody and then you bring in your rookie like 3 games in, you know what I mean? And honestly, the Jets messed up by not picking up a quarterback at any point in the draft last year. I mean, Shador was on the board. You know what I mean? And then look, we lost Jordan Travis. He was the rookie we drafted the year prior.
He was from FSU, right?
Yeah, and that injury is just one he never recovered from, unfortunately. And, just medically, he was forced to retire. So we're kind of just stuck with the options that we have now. I mean, you picked up undrafted free agent in Brady Cook. You don't really have that much faith in him. So, but like I said, I'm going to trust right now Aaron Glenn's vision for this team. I kind of, that's all we have to do, but the point is they have endless options with all the draft capital now. They're just going to have to, that's either way with what they have in the draft capital, you're going to have to nail at least 2 of the picks, at least. And one of them is going to have to be a quarterback. It's just, again, I don't think it has to happen this year. I'm not expecting the Jets to go and make the playoffs next year either. We have so many holes. Quarterback is, of course, one of them. But, I mean, this defense has holes. We need another wide receiver. And unfortunately, in terms of the Jets, it'll be a little bit harder to evaluate what we have in guys that we picked up like Mechie and, A.D. Mitchell, because I don't see Justin Fields really chucking the ball to them.
He's got to go. And I do want to take back what I said about Washington. They were dog shit 2023. I didn't realize they were 4-13. And then last year they did make it because they beat the Lions. So I was incorrect about that. Jaden did elevate that team. So, but that's like once out of every 40 quarterbacks,
No, I see what you mean.
I was mistaken on that, but it's just hard. Like you guys aren't going to be a franchise with Justin Fields as your quarterback. That's not who you want leading your franchise. There's projects in this draft, like even if he declares Lenora Sellers, Dante Moore declares, or, but most of the quarterbacks in this draft are like 2nd-round picks in most other drafts. That's the issue. And then to your point, like if you pick Shador, your media would be a clusterfuck like that. I wouldn't even want to know what the New York media would look like.
It's just the fact that they didn't pick up any quarterback.
And there was no development attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get it. Like some of the ones we drafted in later rounds are playing now, but that's also because Sauces, you traded away some of them, you know what I mean? And then injury as well. So, and I forgot to mention A.Z. Thomas. Right? Yeah. And I mean, A.Z. Thomas replaced Sauce, but he's hurt this week and he won't be playing. So it'll be very interesting to see, this Jets defense. And, Aaron Glenn at the end of the day is the defensive guy. So.
Yeah.
So was Salah.
So solid, yeah.
I know. I do like though that at least they added some offensive pieces or have tried to. I'm not saying it's going to pan out and these guys are absolutely going to work out with us, but it does show some initiative that they realize that this offense has been absolutely horrendous. And I've said it from the beginning of the season. I was okay with the Jets defense taking a step back if that meant the offense was going to be better. Now I got the Jets defense taking a step back and the Jets offense being worse.
It's just weird too because you have like I think Brees Hall and Braylon Allen are two really good running backs, right? I know Braylon's hurt, but Garrett Wilson's a great building piece. Just if you sign even if you guys just say you're competing, you got like a Shaheed type receiver, something like that on your team, I feel like that would kind of level you out. So I don't understand what is the issue with the offense? Is it the line? I mean, obviously the quarterback plays good, but
I know the line is young. They're still developing, but the line's been fine. It's Fields.
Oh, you guys got what's his name in the draft too? Because I wanted him. Armand Membu. Yeah, I heard he's been actually great this year. I was really high on him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he rose. We were actually projected to get him most of the year. He's supposed to get. We got Grace Abel, so that was also we're really happy with him. He's like PFF, which is irrelevant, but like one of the top cards. But seeing his rise and like how athletic he is, yeah, I forgot that he went to you guys at like 8 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, I was happy with that, and now the O line is now structured a little better for a rookie quarterback to come in. But again, you got to give him something other than Garrett Wilson. We still have Mason Taylor, of course. We picked up in the second round this year. I mean, he's still developing. He's not an established receiver here. You're hoping you keep Brees at the end of the day. We don't know what's going to happen with him. He's here.
Is he a free agent this year? Yeah, player option.
No, he's a free agent, I believe. They're probably going to tag him, though. I feel like if they don't give work,
like $12 million a year. Let me see.
And they're saying his contract could look a lot similar to who were they listing earlier?
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, there we go.
Still at $12 million a year. It's not a bad contract though, especially for. But I didn't know Brees Hall has never rushed for over 1,000 yards. I found that out last week. I couldn't believe that. I was
that's lingering over him.
Yeah, that's tough.
So
it expires this year, unrestricted next year. Wow.
Yep. So we'll see how that shakes out. But all right, we appreciate you guys for joining us. As always, we'll be back next Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern. And please like and subscribe to our channel, Pop Sports Network, all our individual channels as well, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media, you name it. Appreciate you guys. Bye.